Hey, we're back here with Common Knowledge, another chance to look at some cool Pauper cards potentially, and I don't know, see if something is new and interesting to me. I'm relatively new to Pauper, but I latched onto it pretty hard, and I want to just look at more cards. I just want to see some cards. Maybe you want to see them with me. Let's take a little journey together. First card of the day is Fists of Ironwood. First came out in Ravnica, City of Guilds. I remember this card. I remember Ravnica. Good times. It is 1 and a green for an enchantment aura that enchants a creature, and when this aura enters, you create two 1/1 green sapperling creature tokens, and the enchanted creature has trample. It's not bad. It's really not that bad. You put this, so you're putting this in a Bogles deck almost assuredly. Giving one of your Bogles trample is a pretty good thing. Having a couple of 1/1s that can block for you when you go in big with your big Bogle creature, it's pretty good. The problem is I think they've just made too many other cards that overshadow this. There's certainly in Selesnya Bogles, you just have better auras, and you also have Malevolent Rumble from Modern Horizons 3, which finds you better cards, puts cards in your graveyard that you don't want, gets you a good permanent card, and gets you a token as well. It's a 0/1, not a 1/1, but it's 1 and not 2. But you can also sacrifice that Eldrazi spawn or Eldrazi Scion, I can't remember which. But you sacrifice that for a colorless. These saplings are just 1/1s. It's cool. I like this card. I like it a lot. I think it was more of a limited card, and I just don't think it's got a place these days. I think it's close though. It kind of got edged out by enough other cards that have come out later that I just don't think you play it anymore. But I like it. I like it. I'd give it like a 3.9. I think it's cool. Second card of the day is Sea Sprite, which costs 1 and a blue for a 1/1 fairy. It flies. It's got protection from red. First came out in Homelands. Yeah. Oh, right. I remember this card now. I remember the 5th edition art because that's my girl. That's Rebecca. It's a fairy. Fairies are good. There's a whole deck for fairies. Would you play this card in it? Almost assuredly not. Except the protection from red is interesting. Is this a sideboard piece in a fairies deck? You get in guaranteed against a mono red deck. You're probably getting in guaranteed on a mono red deck anyway. There's not a ton of flyers in mono red Pauper. The problem is it costs 2. And I don't think it could cost 1. I think if this thing cost 1, it'd be too good. I understand why it has to cost 2. At the same time, I think it kind of ruins the card. It doesn't. It makes it unplay. It doesn't ruin the card. It makes it unplayable in Pauper. There's like I can't remember if it costs 1 or it costs 2, but there's a hawk or a falcon in white that has protection from red, I think, and that's like a sideboard piece. It's a sideboard piece that I use in my Bogles deck, and that's a nice thing. It's like, oh, okay, I've got protection from red. You're not going to lightning bolt this thing. And I guess you could have this for a similar reason, but is it good enough for that? I don't know. I think this is average Pauper power. I think you could play this. I think if you put this on the table, somebody would first go, "What's that?" But once they actually looked at it, they go, "Oh, I see why you put that in your deck. I get it. I'll give it a 5.2. I own this card. I own the 5th edition one, the Rebecca version, because Rebecca makes great art. She makes the best art. My favorite Magic artist. Easy. Yeah, I think it's okay. think it's an okay card, but I don't. I also have a fairies deck. I wouldn't put this in my fairies deck. I'd think about it though. I was thinking about it right there, but I wouldn't do it. Another Spider-Man card. Okay. Okay. All right. Oh, there's stuff to talk about. There's stuff to talk about. So we've got Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist, which costs 4 and a blue for a legendary. Legendary. We'll talk about that. Legendary creature, human scientist villain. It's 4/5, and as long as there are 8 or more cards in your graveyard, Doc Ock has base power and toughness 8/8. And as long as you control another villain, Doc Ock has hexproof. What is this, the Omen password? What do you call this guy? Ozor, Chronicler of Collapse. Okay. Okay, here's the thing. Let's start with the interesting stuff. There aren't a whole lot of common legendary creatures. In fact, there's incredibly few. There's were there a couple like really old ones, like the guy who taps to destroy an artifact or something like that. Joven, something like that. I don't know if they're legendary though. They might be. Anyway, there's the one from Modern Horizons 3 that has Grandor that you're never going to play. But it's there, I guess. Like if you want an actual common commander and you want to play mono red in commander, which I would not advise. Generally not advise. There's good red decks in commander. You could play that guy. But there generally were not legends in Pauper legal ones. So one of the best Pauper removal spells is Cast Down, which is 1 and a black to destroy a target non-legendary creature. And it's just kind of destroy any creature because there just aren't legends. And Spider-Man introduced a handful of legends. Is it only 5? Is it 1 per color? I think it might only be 1 per color. And we now have a handful of common legends. I ended up, so I did buy some Spider-Man cards, like I said earlier, and I bought a 4 of the common Venom. That's like a Death Toucher, and then you can exile it from your graveyard to give something Death Touch. I thought, I don't know, maybe this would be okay in my black-green Reanimator deck. But Doc Ock, again, we talk about the Terror decks. I don't necessarily think you'd put this in Terror, but it does work with it. If there are 8 or more cards in your graveyard, you can do that in Terror easy. It'll take you a couple turns, but also you're not getting the cost reduction of this, so like you would with a Terror or a Cryptic Serpent. So you don't need it on turn 2 or 3. But like at turn 5, you put this on the table, and it's an 8/8. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And if you find another villain, there are not a lot of villains, but if you were able to cram another villain, like there's the Madness, not the Madness one, the Mayhem one, you put him in that deck too. Now you got an 8/8 with hexproof. Whew. I see it. I don't like it. I don't want Spider-Man in my Pauper. But this is better. This is better than I think a lot of people are giving it credit for. Just from a card point of view. Like if you called this Tolarian Terror 2, don't call it that. Here's the real question though. How many big threats do you need in your Tolarian Terror deck? You already are playing 4 Terrors. You're already playing 4 Cryptic Serpents. Do you need more? Do you need more heavy hitters at that point? And I don't think you do. I think 8 is, with the amount of cards that you're rifling through, with your brainstorms, with your mental notes, you're able to draw or filter so many cards. I don't think you need more threats. I think you got threats. And I don't think you'd play this over either one of the other threats. So I think it's a cool card. I think if it came out a few years ago, we'd be having a bigger discussion with it. but ultimately, I think it probably doesn't quite have a place. It is interesting though. Like, you know what? If you put if you're playing against a black deck and you know they have a bunch of cast downs, would you put this in the sideboard and sideboard it in for your Cryptic Servant? Probably not. You just counterspell those. But there's an interesting thought that yeah, you keep the Tolarian Terrors because they still have ward on it. It's gonna force them to spend more mana to attack to hit this thing. But if they're really only playing cast down, this stops cast down cold. And it's still a 4/5, even if you don't have the 8 cards. I'm talking myself into it. I still don't think it's very good. You know what? I'll give it its power and toughness. I will give this a 4.5. I think this is almost a good Pauper card, but not quite. But not quite. All right, move on. Spent too much time on Doc Ock. Pick Your Poison from Murders at Karlov Manor. Another set people don't like, but they don't like it for a different reason than they don't like Spider-Man. Pick Your Poison is a sorcery that costs 1 green, just a single green mana, and you get to choose one. Either each opponent sacrifices an artifact of their choice, each opponent sacrifices an enchantment of their choice, or each opponent sacrifices a creature with flying of their choice. This is okay. This is honestly okay. The thing is, I think the Pauper format, you're not going to use this against an affinity deck because they make too many artifacts. They'll be able to just sacrifice an artifact that doesn't matter to them. In fact, if they're playing like Cryogen Relic or Eager Wellspring, they're going to be happy to sacrifice it. That's not a big deal. I don't think you're really catching anybody. Although, here's the thought though. Turn 1, they play a Vault of Whispers or something. They play an artifact land. Turn 1, you play a forest and you play Pick Your Poison, and you just destroy their land. They have to sack their land. That's cool. It only really works on turn 1. It's okay. Again, you're not playing it against Affinity. You're not really playing it against Bogles because they also can make a bunch of enchantments, put down a ton of cheap enchantments. Yeah, they lose 1, but who cares? They'll have more. Sacrificing a creature with flying is also pretty situational. Sure, there's too many cheap things in Pauper, so you're not doing this against fairies. You're not doing this against like a black-white blade deck because they have Glinthawks and Core Skyfishers, and I need to. I think I screwed this up on day 1, or I couldn't remember. The black card with affinity. I'm gonna find it. Affinity for artifacts. Black. Everybody's yelling at the screen, I'm sure. Refurbished Familiar, of course. Refurbished Familiar. There's so many of those in a Orzhov Blade deck. You wouldn't really need that there either. I think this is actually, it's weird. It's a common card that is better in Standard right now than it is in Pauper. It's better in Commander. You're making 3 somebody's sacrifice things. So, maybe only one person has a ton of artifacts and the other 2 only have 1 or 2. You're hurting. Like, yeah, the one person can just sacrifice whatever little artifact, but the other 2, they have to really make a decision. Or you're also taking 3 permanents off the board. That's pretty good. In Pauper, I don't think it has enough of a home. I think it's cool. I think it could easily be a sideboard piece, but even then, I don't think it's a strong enough sideboard piece. I think you generally want some more targeter removal to remove the thing that you want rather than giving your opponents a choice. The flexibility is nice, but I don't think you're going to get the results that you really want out of it. I'd give this a 3.8. I think that's fair. Moving on to Vidalcan Ghoul. You pay Dimir, blue and a black, for a 1/1 Vidalcan zombie. And whenever this creature becomes blocked, defending player loses 4 life. Interesting. Interesting. From Alara Reborn, I was not playing during Alara Reborn. I took a big break after Lorwyn. Yeah, Lorwyn came after Time Spiral. Yeah. So after Lorwyn, I went to college and just didn't have people to play Magic with. Didn't think about Magic for a while, and left, and then just kind of left the game. And then it wasn't until my friend, who was a big Lord of the Rings guy, said like, "Hey, there's Lord of the Rings cards. You want to come and play Magic?" I went, "Oh, yeah, I remember Magic. Sure, I'll play some Magic." And then got in, and then got back in hard. When I was playing originally, Commander wasn't a thing. So coming back and seeing what Commander was, to my knowledge, Pauper wasn't a thing back then. So to come back and also see this format is pretty cool. So I missed Alara Reborn. I don't know any of these cards. Don't even remember where this comes in the set order. We'll figure it out at some point. But this card seems kind of cool to me. Sure, it's you're paying 2 mana for a 1/1. It's not great, not really all that good, and you're daring your opponent to block it, but they just won't. They just won't block it. So you're doing 1 damage to them each turn. Big deal. Do you put this in ninjas and ninjutsu this thing? Because, hey, are you going to block this thing and lose 4 life? Or do you let it in and then I can ninjutsu something in and play this card again? The problem is that I think at that point you'd rather just play a fairy. You'd rather just play a 1/1 flyer that can come back in. You'd rather play an ornithopter that you can pay 0 to bring in. Flyers are already evasive like that. You're giving your opponent the choice to block this thing. Maybe they will just block it. And then, okay, you did 4 damage to them. Or they lost 4 life. But then what? You lost your guy. What are you going to do? Or they lightning bolt it. And then you don't get to do any of those things. I'm talking myself out of it pretty hard. I think this is like a 2.6, maybe. Yeah, 2.6. Moving on to Champion of the Flame. It's 1 and a red for a 1/1 human warrior with trample. And this creature gets +2/+2 for each aura and equipment attached to it. This is a cool card. It's a neat card, originally from Dominaria, but it's been in a couple of Commander sets. Red is generally not the color, in Pauper at least, that you are going to have a bunch of auras with. Even equipment. I guess there are some equipment decks in Pauper. I don't see a ton of them. They're generally just kind of inefficient. Although, we got some Final Fantasy equipment. Are you putting like the red mage's rapier in that? And then if that thing dies, then you can put it on this? Probably not. It's cool though. It's a neat thing. It's got trample already. You put an aura or 2 on this thing, and it becomes like a 5/5 with trample plus whatever the aura gives it. Here's the thing. If a red deck that uses auras is in the format, if there's enough other good auras and equipments, but I think the auras is probably the more interesting one here. If that deck becomes real, this is a card in it for sure. This is the best card in it, almost. Maybe. Probably is, actually. I just don't think that deck exists, and I don't see it existing. It could, though. It could. You get to play this on turn 2, turn 3. You put an aura or 2 on it. You get a red-white deck. Find a way to give this something that you give this the one that gets 1/1 for each aura out on the field and first strike. Then you have a trample first striker that, that could be hot. That could be hot. I'm gonna give it some points for potential here, and I'm gonna give this thing a 6. I think it's deserving of a 6 in that it could be a massive card. The problem is Bogles works because Bogles are hexproof, and this guy is very much not hexproof. He is very killable in so many ways. So unless you have a way to make this guy hexproof, actually, you put in that new Edge of Eternity card, the Ilvoy Galeblade. No, not Ilvoy Galeblade. That's a creature. But if you put in it's a blue equipment that when it comes into play, it automatically attaches to a creature, and it gives that creature hexproof for the turn. And it has flash. So that's interesting. Is it equipment or a deck? It might be worth a shot. Honestly. This is a cool card. I like this card. I'm going to stick with 6. But I think this card is cool. I might, you know what? I'm going to write it down. Champion of the Flame. All right. I might grab myself 4 copies of that just to have it on hand. Neat card. Wandering Stream is 2 and a green for a sorcery with Domain. You gain 2 life for each basic land type among lands you control. I like the art. Quentin Hoover art. I like Quentin Hoover. Domain's not something you really see in Pauper. You don't have the abilities that you have in standard, like to get like the Overlord of the Hauntwoods or something that puts the everything or everywhere land into play that has all basic land types. You do have your cyclers. You have your Troll of Khazad-dûms and your Lorien Revealed and your Aldefonts that can find your dual tap lands with land types on them. Even so, you're not playing this card. You gain anywhere between 2. Oh, I guess 0. You could play this if you didn't have any basic land types. You wouldn't, but you could, I guess, if you needed to play a spell for like Storm or something. You're not doing that. So you're gaining between 2 and 10 life. Is that good? And you're doing it once. You're doing it a single time. That's not good. That's not good enough. No, you're not. You're buying this card for the art. They never reprinted this card because it's not that good. It's I give it a 1.1. It's not good. Art's great. I love the art. I'd live there. Seems like a cool place. But I don't want it in my Magic deck. Tide Pool Turtle, 3 and a blue for a 2/5 turtle. You could pay 2 and a blue to scry 1. You don't have to tap it. You could keep paying 3 mana to keep scrying 1. Whew, that's a bad card. Might as well be vanilla. And even 2/5 for 4, rough. This thing was in, it just left standard with Dominaria United. Can't imagine it saw any play. I can't imagine this would have seen limited play. Who's playing this card? And then it got a Foundation's Jumpstart version, which is just the same card. Foundation Jumpstart rules, by the way. I think those decks are really cool. This would be a bad card. This would be maybe one of the worst cards in that deck. I'm going to give this a 1. I like turtles. I don't like this turtle. Not very good. Let's keep going. We've got 2 more cards to go. Battle Screech. Uh-oh. We found an actual factual Pauper staple here. This is a white weenie card. This is a card that my friend who has a white weenie deck, he plays this card, and it's annoying as hell. So Battle Screech, 2 white, That's more helpful for people just listening. For a sorcery, you create 2 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying. Doesn't seem that bad, right? But then it also has a flashback. Flashback cost is tap 3 untapped white creatures you control, and then you can cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, and then exile it afterward. So here's what you do. Sorry, here's what my friend does to me all the time. He pays 4. He puts 2 birds on the field. Then he taps his Novice Inspector and the 2 birds he just made to flash the thing back and get 2 more birds. So yeah, he still has 2 blockers for whatever he needs. And then the next turn, he untaps and he's got 4 birds and his Inspector and whatever other white weenie crap that he gets to have. This is a good card. If you have, if you're playing a card that has Monarch, that makes you the Monarch, if you're playing a card that gives you the initiative, and you're able to keep the initiative, you're able to keep the initiative with this. You make blockers, and if he's going up against like my Orzhov Blade deck, where I'm making him discard cards with Refurbished Familiar, this is an easy card to just discard. Or you discard the Prismatic Strands that's also in that deck. But you just discard this, and then, then you can tap and just cast this thing. Damn. This is a good card. This is a good card. This is like like a while ago I gave the Golgari Guildgate like what, a 7-2, 7-5, something like that. This is probably around that same range. It kind of really only goes in one deck, but it is great in that one deck. I give this a 7. It's a great card. I hate it. I hate playing against it, but it's a good card. Battle Screech, there. Got a good one in here. From Judgment. I like that Judgment art a lot better. Look at that. But this also looks pretty good. Anyway, let's keep it going. Our final card of the day. Yep, final card of the day. Leonin Bola from Darksteel. And only Darksteel. That's weird to me. I feel like this card should get a reprint. It's not good, but I think this card should get a reprint. It's 1 mana for an artifact equipment. Equips for 1, an equipped creature has tap and unattach Leonin Bola to tap target creature. It's not good. It's not good. You're paying a mana, then you're paying another mana, then you're tapping a creature, all to tap one other creature of your choice. And you have to unattach it, so you have to attach it again and pay another mana. That's too much mana. You're paying too much mana to only tap a creature. And I understand why you tap a creature. It's a Bola. Like it's to tie up the legs of a creature. You're not going to tap a land. You're not going to tap an artifact. It's too narrow. It's despite only costing 1 mana and the equip cost only being 1 mana, it's too expensive. What a weird thing to say about something that costs 1 mana to play and 1 mana to equip, but it is. It's too expensive. I love the art. I remember playing Darksteel. I remember having this card and thinking that it looked really cool, and then I played with it. And I'm like, this card sucks, and it does. And it does in Pauper too. If you just want to put a bunch of cheap artifacts on the battlefield, way better options than this. You have a bunch of 0 cost artifacts you can play at Pauper in common. I mean, you don't need this. You're not going to use this. It's a 1. It's a 1. Disappointing last card for the day, but that's what happens. That's the randomness, baby. We'll be back tomorrow with more randomness. Until then, we'll see you.